Melody Time has been on my list to watch for quite a while, so I had relatively high hopes. And I have to say, it's actually not as good as some of the musical animated features that Disney did before this. So, although I'd expected it to be better than the previous ones because it had longer to kind of fine-tune the craft, it's, there's nothing particularly bad about it. I just find that some of the 7 features were not that interesting. So this is very much like the rest of their animated musical features, wherein we have a series of short animations, each one to a pretty solid soundtrack. Actually, most of the scores for this are pretty great, and we have a really amazing vocal cast here, including the Andrews sisters, which I thought was pretty brilliant and pretty exciting, actually. So I'm just going to go through each of the 7 shorts in turn. I say I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's kind of hard to spoil these. And I think I liked 3, maybe. The rest were, none of the others were bad. They just didn't hold my attention. They weren't very engaging. But what I will say is the animation style is quintessential 40s Disney, and we actually have little slivers of Cinderella in here. There's one moment where some cats pop up and they have Lucifer's face. They have the face of Lucifer, and there's a character in the final short who was definitely the blueprint for Anastasia and Drizella. Her dress is identical in design, but a different colour. It's the yellow dress in the final short. I'm sure when you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But there were kind of little things here and there that definitely were going to be used further down the line. And of course we have Donald Duck. So the first one we have is Once Upon a Wintertime. This is the story of 2 lovers called Jenny and Joe, and they are ice skating and there's a bit of a tiff. It's visually quite nice, but it's not that engaging. I think some of the characters' behaviours were not that believable and not that likeable. As the opening short, it wasn't bad, but I didn't think it was that great. The next one I found visually to be quite appealing, but there's obviously a lack of narrative here. This is called Bumble Boogie, and we have this individual this bumblebee having this kind of battle fending off these different visual representations of the music. We have things turning into butterflies, and visually it is quite compelling. And the music is a swing jazz version of Flight of the Bumblebee, which is obviously pretty great, and was apparently considered for use in Fantasia. The third one, I have to say, I think this is why there's a disclaimer at the beginning. This is another one of the old Disneys where on Disney Plus there is a disclaimer saying, hey, by the way, this was racist, but we're going to keep it up as, an example of what not to do, I guess. They obviously worded a lot more eloquently than that, but there are some kind of stereotypes here. This is about John Chapman, aka Johnny Appleseed, and he apparently, and I don't know how factually accurate this representation is, I hadn't heard of this guy before, but apparently it's based on truth. He spent most of his life roaming the Midwestern United States, mainly Ohio and Indiana, in the pioneer days and planting apple trees. That's description from Wikipedia. And it's just all about him going around and planting apple trees and nourishing communities. And this is apparently 17 minutes, making it the film's second longest story. I'm not sure what the longest one was, but actually it felt much quicker. It went by quite quickly. It's got a nice kind of narrative story to it. And I guess the racist aspect comes in when you have various stereotypical representations of, as they were called at the time, Indians and other individuals. But it's once you kind of look past that as an actual little biography, pretty interesting. The next one is depressing, as anything, but I really like it. This is Little Toot, and it's based on the story of Little Toot by Hardy Gramatke. And Little Toot is a small tugboat who basically is a little troublemaker, but he doesn't mean to be. He's just a naughty little tugboat. And it's all about him growing up and learning to be a mature tugboat and sensible. And the Andrews sisters provide the vocals for that one. The song Little Toot is painfully addictive, and you will not get it out of your head. The next one is, well, it's Trees. The poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer. And we have music by Oscar Rasbach here. And honestly, I thought this one was very dull. It's a visual representation of the poem. The illustrations didn't really feel that Disney. The music wasn't that interesting. I just really didn't engage with that at all. Penultimate, we have Blame It on the Samba, which is the one with Donald Duck and Jose Carioca. It's not a Disney character I'm familiar with, but he has appeared several times, and it's all about Samba and how much they enjoy that. Yeah, I liked this one. It was pretty good. It wasn't the best thing ever, but you know, it was decent enough. And the last one actually incorporates live action, which I wasn't expecting. You know, we have loads and loads of animation, and then we get hit with live action at the end. And it was a bit jarring. But, you know, kind of once you get past that, it's absolutely fine. This is a representation of the fictional cowboy Bill and Pecos Bill. And he was apparently raised by coyotes, and you do see a lot of Mowgli in this character and in the illustrations. And he had a horse called Widowmaker, very strange name. And it's just all about his story. And we have a beautiful image where somebody is riding a fish with a lasso. And I don't know, there's just something about that I really like. This is the longest piece on the full thing. Yeah, I like this one. I think there's some pretty good music to this one. The images are great. As I said, we have the dress that Drizella and Anastasia wear, but in yellow, very much an early indication of what Disney was going on to do. It's good. Yeah, this is not a bad little anthology of shorts, but I definitely think it's not the best. I definitely preferred The Three Caballeros, Sally Dos Amigos. I think they were much better. This is not as strong as it could have been, but I guess for younger viewers, definitely going to be interesting and quite magical. Certainly for the time, it would have been really appealing. I can't really fault it that much. Not perfect, but the bits that I liked, Little Toot, Johnny Appleseed, yeah, I really liked those. So it's definitely worth checking out on Disney Plus if you are a fan of Disney.